Hey, what's up guys? It's ex-mormon from My Spiritual Life. I got Jared helping me out today for episode 4 of Cringe Binge. If you don't know what Cringe Binge is, it's a series we do where we ask people for their cringy moments from when they took their religious beliefs a little bit too far.
Thanks for participating in this because it's kind of hard to scrape together these cringy moments because as it turns out, Mormons don't do cringy things very often.
Oh my gosh. So comment down below your cringy moments and you might see us use it in an upcoming video. And don't forget to hang on to the very end because I saved the cringiest for last. And before we get started, I'm doing a little shout out for KARTRA today. If you haven't heard of KARTRA, it is an amazing program, especially if you are a business owner like me. I used to have ActiveCampaign for running my emails and keeping track of my list, ClickFunnels for my online cart and for creating landing pages, and Calendarly for my calendar. And now I have all of those and more in one with KARTRA, and I love it so much. So if you want to simplify your life and your business, click the link below for the free trial, 14-day free trial for KARTRA. Also, if you use that affiliate link below, not only will you be simplifying your life, you will also be supporting our channel. So click it, click.
And my shout out today is to Coffee, the real sponsor of this video. You know, sin.
Oh no. Okay, here we go. Jumping right in. We are going to be reading your cringy moments. Okay, cringy moment number 1. I was the only person on the basketball team to wear a shirt under the basketball jersey.
Good on ya. Being all convicted and stuff. Unless it was a garment shirt, in which case...
I was the same way when I was like in my high school musicals and stuff. Like if the girls were wearing dresses that didn't have sleeves or were too short cut, I would wear like something under it and just like ruin the whole facade for everyone because everyone's matching except for me. So I feel you, girl. I feel you.
It's like when you see those videos or those pictures of like the bridal party or whatever. All of the bridesmaids have shoulderless dresses and there's that one poor woman who has to wear, and I feel bad for them. I think it's cringy that you feel the need to do that. I think it's admirable that you do it in the face of social scrutiny.
Right, you're doing it for the right reason. You're like, this is my standard.
Yeah,
I'm going to uphold it no matter what.
You're a principled person. The principle is stupid, and they've made you believe that it's worth ostracization, but you're doing it nonetheless. So good on you. It sucks that you had to do that, though, I guess. As a Mormon, I read all the Work and the Glory book series, watched the mini-movie in Temple Square, then delivered a speech to my seminary class. The seminary teacher assigned reading the series to all his classes that year as a result. My inspiring speech earned me a lot of passive-aggressive behavior from my classmates. I prayed for them.
I just love the caveat. I just prayed for their souls since obviously this was a good thing.
They should have been more actively aggressive, which is what I would have done if you had been the reason that I had to read the Work and the Glory series. You son of a bitch.
It's a big series. It's long.
Yeah, your seminary teacher was a dick.
That reminds me of like going to BYU Idaho and having the teachers that... So when you went to BYU Idaho, you had to take religion classes. And there was some religion teachers that believed that their class was just as important as like your math class or like something like related to your major. And it was wholly annoying. And I was very devout Mormon, but I hated that attitude because I was like, I don't care near as much about my Book of Mormon class as I do preparing for like my finals, like for my statistics degree. And it was just like, why do you think you're so important?
They're trying to be eternally minded, okay?
Honestly, they were right. If this church really is true, their class is far more important than anything having to do with my future career. So good on them.
Ugh. No.
Next one. In the 6th grade, my friend told me she was bi, and I told her that is a sin. A few months later, I realized, in fact, that I was also bi.
Oh. And then you got married.
Oh, and they got married to each other,
Yeah,
like it was two
it's like
girls.
It's like a love story. That's a sin. Well, jump on in. Leaving the classroom when my teacher said they would show a clip from a PG-13 movie.
Not even like the full movie, just a clip.
Yeah, I had a bunch of friends that wanted to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And that movie's rated R. Mm-hmm. And I sat in the back and didn't watch it. And the only reason it's rated R is because there's one scene where he says the F word like 8 times.
Right.
Other than that, it's PG-13, you know. So I very bravely didn't watch it, and then called my parents and told them to come pick me up. Didn't give them any details. And then when they came and got me, they're like, "What's up?" I was like, "They were watching an R-rated movie." And they're like, "Oh, what was it?" I was like, "Planes, Trains, and Automobiles." My dad was like, "Yeah, that one shouldn't really be rated R anyway." I was like, "Well, so much for my bravery."
You thought they were gonna
I thought they were gonna be like,
you.
"Wow, you know what? That took guts, kid. I like the cut of your jib."
I mean, I remember being told that all the time in seminary and in Sunday school class. They'd be like, if everyone else is doing it, you still need to not do it. So good on you for being strong. You know, our channel would probably be rated R if Hunter didn't cut out all the cussing.
He misses them sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Like a PG-13 level.
All right, here you go.
When I was 13, this guy told me that he liked me. I was too terrified to respond and went home and read For the Strength of Youth and then brought it to school with me. So when anyone asked me about my feelings, I showed them it. Oh, God.
Just like, back off! So the For Strength of Youth pamphlet, it's like the church's guidelines for the youth, like with dating and dress and groom standards and things like that. So I just think that's super funny. Like, you have a crush on me? Back off.
Yeah, I don't understand. I guess I don't understand where she's coming from here, because did she just, "I'm not having sex with you," or something like that?
I have no idea.
Guilt does weird things to your head.
Yes. Okay, so background. My husband is a never-mo, meaning he's never been Mormon. We had an agreement that we just wouldn't really talk about religion and we would respect each other's beliefs. When we were engaged, there was one time I still look back on and cringe. We were hanging out at his parents' house. We were having a nice time talking about our wedding and how excited we were. Well, I was feeling pretty happy and I thought I was feeling the Holy Ghost, the Spirit, and felt calm and called to tell him, "You know, you're the only person I've ever wanted to be sealed in the temple to." Lisai. Him being a never-mo and having no context for what we're talking about just goes, "Oh, okay." I started getting frustrated because how could he not understand what a huge thing this is? So I repeated myself 2 more times. And getting more and more frustrated because he didn't respond more to my clearly super romantic gesture. It did put quite a damper on the conversation. Luckily, it didn't convince him to completely convert, and we did not have a temple marriage, but boy, that is one memory where I cringe so hard every time it pops up. Like, he didn't understand how this was so romantic. Like, you're the only one I've ever wanted to be with forever.
It makes me think of that part in The Office where Dwight proposes to that woman by putting, like, bird beaks on the ground and stomping them into dust or something. It's like a weird custom. It's from season 9, so nobody cares about it, but
Right.
he has to explain how big of a deal that is.
Right.
Asking others what drink they got if I saw they had a Starbucks cup.
Ooh, I was never brave enough for that kind of thing. I would just assume, like, hopefully that's not coffee in there, because
I'd say hopefully it's not hot chocolate, because Starbucks hot chocolate is the only thing on their menu worse than their coffee.
Next story. I cringe now. Shortly after childbirth, a nurse offered me herbal tea to help me relax. I thought of my hero, Joseph Smith, and how he had surgery on his leg and refused a shot of whiskey, so I said no. I was being such a good example to my 2-hour-year-old. I was being such a good example to my 2 our old daughter and imagined that the nurse went back to the desk and pondered from whence came my great strength of character. I regretted not bearing my testimony to her. Second baby, I had a big glass of red wine and felt super relaxed. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that's the step of progression. Like first it's herbal tea, then it's red wine. Third baby will be heroin.
Yes, you are exactly why the church says things like it's a slippery slope.
Yep. Oh, how far you've fallen.
We stray further from God every day.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what it's like for nurses in Utah.
Oh gosh. That must be interesting. Especially
they
for
probably
ones
have
that
to,
aren't Mormon.
See, I used to, whenever I was, when I was working at Wendy's, this is in Rexburg, 98% Mormon. We had this drink. It was called the Peach Chiller or whatever. And it had tea in it, but it didn't have tea in the name. So, and I didn't want to make it because it was a pain. And so people would come through the drive-thru. They'd be like, can I get that peach chiller? I was like, oh yeah, the green tea chiller. They'd be like, oh, it has tea in it? I'd be like, yep. I'd be like, oh, never mind that. Okay. No problem. I'll make a much easier drink.
You ruined so many people's lives. They could have gone forever with their peach tea.
I saved them from going to the terrestrial
ruined
kingdom.
it. Oh my gosh. I am ashamed.
I'm a hero. Okay. So one time, when I was little, I think I was in 1st or 2nd grade, I sat next to this guy I had a crush on, but also we were like rivals, and he would make fun of me a lot for various reasons that aren't important to this comment. But anyway, he would always wear a gold necklace with the cross and Jesus nailed to it. One day, we were arguing about what being a true Christian was. I told him that him wearing the cross wasn't very Christ-like because he was wearing the murder weapon that killed Jesus. Anyway, I went home and bragged about it to my parents, and my dad told me to go back the next day and apologize. So in class, I apologized to him if it hurt his feelings, but he was still wrong. Moral of the story, kids regurgitate what they hear at home. My parents, specifically Dad, would always say that wearing the cross was basically wearing someone's murder weapon around your neck.
I was taught that too. I was like, because I would ask Mom, like, why? Because Mormons, they don't wear crosses for necklaces or any kind of jewelry because it's like seen as disrespectful. And I'd ask my mom, like, why don't we do that? All the other Christians do it. And she would say, that's like if your brother was killed with a guillotine and you wore a guillotine around your neck. I was like, oh gosh, I never thought of it that way.
Maybe if there were thousands of years of mythology stating that in order to save the souls of the world, the guillotine was a necessary symbol or something like that.
Oh my gosh!
I get that argument because there's like funny jokes about it. Like there's that, I can't remember who the comedian was, but he's got that thing like, what if Jesus comes back and sees everyone wearing a cross? And he's going to be like, excuse me, what part of my life made you think that I enjoy the cross? So I get the joke.
Right.
But it's also, you're missing a whole bunch of symbolism. It's like a 14-year-old atheist level of
argument.
I just moved the Bibles to the fiction section, stuff like that. It was weird how the church basically encouraged us to employ that logic against other brands of Christians. It's kind of why I feel I used to defend the church and be like, well, they're clearly Christian. They believe that Jesus is divine, blah, blah, blah. Now I don't care so much. Like, I still think that, but I don't really care because, A, I don't really have a horse in the race, but B, they do the same thing to Christians. You're not real Christians. Okay, well, you're fighting dirty and then get mad when they fight dirty back. Get over it.
I had a friend that was Catholic give me a cross necklace when I was probably like 10. And I was so sad because my mom made me give it back to her. And I was so like sad and embarrassed because like I felt like it was a nice gift, from someone I cared about. And I had to just like give it back and be like, this is a sinful gift. I was embarrassed. Anyway, so I feel you, girl. I was in choir class and I complained about some girl being a and one of the other members told me I shouldn't talk like that because I held Still hold. I've resigned. Do I still have the fake priesthood? The priesthood.
I've had that happen at work several times. The place I work, my dad also works. And my dad's, very active LDS guy. And so I think a lot of people there kind of assume that I am too, because I don't talk about it unless I'm asked about it. And I had one guy, I used the word I was like, oh yeah, I was being a when I was telling him about a story from my past or something, and he's like, you were a missionary and you have a mouth like that? I was like, dude, I just heard you call someone a mother and he was like, yeah, I did.
Way to call him out.
I know.
Oh my gosh. You were a missionary with that language. I'm going to read this one. I once told my best friend of over 20 years who is not Mormon, who was raised by an abusive man who physically harmed her, this scripture mastery, D&C 64, 9 through 11. I, the Lord, will forgive whom I will forgive, but of you it is required to forgive all men. For he that forgiveth not all men stands condemned before the Lord, for there remaineth in him the greater sin. Yes, I told my best friend, who was horribly abused by her father, that if she did not forgive him, she was just as bad in the eyes of the Lord. OMG, I cringed just typing this. I'm really, really sorry for what I said when I was Mormon. Also, I love your channel. Oh, there we go. Isn't that so sad? Like,
yeah.
Can you imagine and like hearing that from a friend? Like, you need to forgive him for hurting you in terrible ways, or the Lord will think you are just as awful.
But also, you're trying to help her, so I get it. You're, you probably think that would, when we're young and we can't empathize quite as effectively, we don't realize the damage that is done by abusive parents. I think we might think that the solution is a little simpler, and it might come off as callous, but, go easy on yourself a little bit. It sounds like you were just trying to be helpful with the tools that you had and the perspective that you had.
Didn't have great tools.
Didn't have fantastic tools, but...
Oh, no.
All right. I'm currently 17 and living with my Mormon grandparents. This story takes place when I was still TBM. When I got my license, my grandma sat me down and said my grandpa sat me down and said he wanted to have a talk with me. He asked me what I would do if my car was breaking down and the only place I could stop for a few miles was a liquor store. I told him I would obviously stop at the liquor store because what if my car exploded? What if it was an emergency and I just didn't know how bad it was? You'd obviously want to stop as soon as possible, regardless of the place, right? Well, according to him, that was the wrong answer. He asked me, what if someone from church saw you there? I told him I would explain the situation, then might even ask them for help. It's not like I was buying anything. He went on for about an hour and a half, desperately trying to explain to me how I should never stop there, even if it's an emergency. His main thought was, what if someone sees you? What will that do to the way they see you? You don't want them to think you're less of a person, right? The entire situation irritated me to my wit's end, but there was no convincing him otherwise. To this day, I would still stop at a liquor store if I needed help. It just made me feel so bad that he really cared that much about what other people thought. He would risk his life rather than stop at a liquor store for help. It honestly blew my mind, and I feel sorry for anyone else who feels this way. It can be a miserable way to live your life. Good Lord.
I'm just like, it's so sad that his grandpa cared that much about what people think. It's that whole teaching of like avoid the appearance of evil. But it's like, if you're avoiding the appearance of evil, you're literally only doing that so people won't judge you. Because doesn't God know the difference between the appearance of evil and actual real evil?
Doesn't it matter more if you're, like, doing a bad thing than if it looks like you're doing a bad thing while you're not? I mean, that's more on the people who are looking you and instantly assuming you're there to get drunk.
What Mormons are at the liquor store that are going to judge you?
I know, you're going to run into you there and be like, I see you're buying liquor here. at the liquor store where I also am.
Right? Oh, no.
It's like that Jim Gaffigan bit. I'm just meeting a hooker. You should be here by now.
There was a time when I was 9 years old that I told my parents that I believed after my mission, I just knew that God would have me translate the sealed portion of the plates. Because being named Abinadi was a sign that I'd be the worthy one to do that for the church. Luckily, that wasn't a stage of my life that was very long.
Your name is Abinadi?
Okay, wait.
That's gotta be so odd after leaving the church.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. No, so the sealed portion, so according to the way that the church started, Joseph Smith had the gold plates, he translated them into the Book of Mormon, but he said there was a sealed portion that God said we weren't ready for yet. It would just blow people's freaking minds.
Which would make them even heavier to be hefting around.
And so, to this day, we've never heard anything else about that sealed portion of those plates because the angel Moroni took the plates back. But a lot of people theorize that he's going to bring them back and give them to someone else to translate the rest. So that's why this kid believed it would be him.
I remember, thinking, man, it'd be cool if I was one of the... There's a prophecy about 2 prophets that'll be trampled in the streets of Israel trying to preach or something. And I was like, man, I hope that's me. Because... that'll prove my conviction.
I get to be a hero!
Yeah. When I was still married, I cried after we left the movie theater, after watching the Simpsons movie, because I couldn't believe he would take me to something... He'd take me to something so crude. I saw Bart's cartoon, and I just couldn't cope. I went into a rant about how Jesus didn't die on the cross for us, so... we could watch trash like that. I am so embarrassed about it now. Oh, I also walked out of the movie theater when I went to see Die Hard with him and his family because I was so filled with the Spirit, righteous enough to know that Jesus hates violence and that they were all sinners. I admonished my poor ex-husband accordingly like a good Mormon wife.
She was a very good Mormon wife, shaming her husband for laughing at jokes.
That was also one of the funniest scenes. Because it's making fun of how whenever somebody's naked in a cartoon, it's always something to cover up the wiener. And he's skateboarding throughout the entire thing. And there's just a series of weird things that are covering up his so you can't see it. And you're like, oh, that's funny. What's going to... oh, it's just there. It just... it clears open and it just shows his wiener hanging there. I didn't expect that.
Oh no, my Mormon eyes. I used to take rest from your labors on the Sabbath crazy seriously. When my husband and I were first married, he would try to do the dishes, but I would get so mad at him because it was Sunday, and I would start crying because I believed he was breaking the Sabbath day. I also considered vacuuming, doing laundry, or doing any household chore breaking the Sabbath day.
Sounds like a literal Pharisee.
Right? I'm like, I think I should start treating Sundays like that. I just need to take the whole day off, not changing any diapers.
I treated
not
Sunday...
cooking.
I treated Sunday like that as a Mormon. It's just because I was lazy.
Right? Oh my gosh. Can you imagine though? I think if
part of it is because Mormonism, when you're Mormon, Sunday is not a day off. You just get a shorter weekend than everybody else.
Yeah, that's how it feels. I remember feeling guilty for thinking that's how it feels. I was like, my friends all get a 2-day weekend. I only get a 1-day weekend. And then I was like, I'm so awful for thinking that because I'm in the church. I should not be thinking that.
Yeah, when we were in Rexburg, they would alternate who had to work Sundays at Wendy's. You only usually had to work 1 out of every 3. And I had to work 2 in a row one time, and the manager's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. And I was like, you know what? No, work me every single Sunday. Because I don't want... That's a stupid day to have off because I'll spend half of it in church. All right?
Right? I think that if I had felt that way, about doing the dishes being bad on Sunday, I would have felt torn if you were doing the dishes, torn between reprimanding you and just, being happy that you're doing the dishes. I'd be like, you should...
You shouldn't be helpful.
No. You're fine. It's Saturday. It's Saturday. Okay, see you later. I didn't date for almost 18 years because I live in an area of the UK with pretty much no LDS men, which meant I refused to date guys outside the church because they couldn't take me to the temple. I joined the church at 19 and walked away at 37 single. Not dating outside the religion is all well and good if there's people to date in your area. But I was told I would be blessed in the next life if I stayed faithful in this life. So I told the woman that said that to me, yeah, but I want to get laid in this life. She looked at me scandalized. I'm now a very active member of the Tinder community.
That's less cringe and more triumph against cringe.
I just loved it. Yeah, but I want to get laid in this life.
It's also just kind of sad that
it is sad.
You had to spend that long not dating anyone. Right.
It is sad. A lot of these like border on being funny versus like just sad.
It's gonna be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
When my mother-in-law's distant cousin found out that my husband and I had recently got married, she was sure to pull us aside and tell us that is only created for the creation of children. If we used it for any pleasure, then it was a sin. She then proceeded to tell us that she would pray each time she was ready to have a child. And each time they had she got pregnant. So, because she had 6 kids, you know how many times she had done the deed. Hubby and I just laughed. Lady was bat crazy.
Isn't that insane?
Oh my god, that's...
Like, what the heck? That's not even a normal Mormon thing.
No.
Like, I mean, it's normal to, like, put the emphasis on, like, okay, is to have kids and stuff, and you're supposed to have kids. But, like, this was just like, oh, gosh. Are you serious right now?
At first I was going to say the don't use it for any pleasure was just like a really lazy husband saying, oh yeah, we're not supposed to get pleasure out of it. Well, because if you have a baby and you're a guy, you kind of have to get pleasure out of it. So I thought it was just a lazy husband, but then it was like, oh, they only had 6 times. No, he's miserable too.
Oh, that's so sad.
I don't know what's up with the Puritan belief that God hates any joy at all.
Oh, goodness. I have no idea. Like, it's so silly. Like, why would God make it so pleasurable then?
I think it's that competition, you know?
Be more righteous.
The be more righteous thing. And just devolve. Because that's what a mission is. It's, you know, like part of being perfectly obedient as a missionary is waking up at 6:30. Right. So if I wake up at 6:15 and do 15 minutes of extra scripture study, I'm more righteous.
Right.
And so I think these people might just... It's like a competition.
Yeah.
like, oh, this is only for procreation. Oh yeah, well, I don't even enjoy sex. That's how righteous I am.
Oh, no. Yeah, something like that. All right, I saved the best for last, you guys. But really quick, just a reminder, don't forget to click the link below to check out KARTRA. Simplify your business, simplify your life, and help support our channel. That would be awesome. Okay, here we go. Drum roll. It's LDS Girls Camp. I'm on the toilet and stand up, hearing a splash. Naturally, I turn around to see what happened. My flashlight is in the toilet. I fish it out and go to the sink, where I wash it for about 5 minutes. Luckily, it's still working. And TBM me, I pray for God to remove any extra germs. You know, just in case. Just pray away the poop germs.
Did he? I don't know. She never got E. coli, so I'm assuming that her prayer worked.
Like, can you imagine, like, you could just not wash your hands after going to the bathroom? Just like, God, please.
Oh, I don't have time for this hand washing crap.
God, please just get rid of the germs. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, that reminds me when I was like 6 years old. I remember, like, I thought that I was too busy to wash my hands sometimes. I'd like go to the bathroom and I'm like really, like I'm already really aggravated because I'm having fun with my friends, and then I'd go to the bathroom and I'd be so mad that I have to interrupt my day by going to the bathroom, and then I would like justify that I was just too busy to wash my hands, so I would just go to the bathroom and leave. And I'd just be like, oh, it's just too busy today. Now, I wash my hands regardless of how busy I am because I don't believe praying the germs away is going to work.
Well, apparently it does. If it didn't, we would have then got a follow-up saying, anyway, I got E. coli.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. I think that might be one of my favorite. That or the hummingbird story. If you haven't seen the hummingbird story, click below to watch the other cringe bins. That is up there with my favorites.
Oh, it's grody.
Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thanks to our Patreon supporters who support our channel. You guys are the best. And comment below your cringy moments. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Don't forget to pray away the germs.